revealed the heartwarming truth behind a bride's expulsion that changed everything for a cleaner. As the sun bathed Maple Grove in a glow of gold, Samantha's heart raced faster than the ticking clock. Today marked Emily's wedding day, a day she had dreamt of since she held her daughter in her arms. The scent of jasmine wafted through the air, mingling with the tantalizing aroma of barbecue ribs sizzling in backyards across the neighborhood. Friends and family buzzed around the venue, their laughter ringing out like joyous music. Yet, beneath the surface, an unyielding tension simmered. Emily, dressed in a gown adorned with lace and dreams, couldn't contain her excitement. Samantha couldn't help but smile, the love she felt swelling in her chest. She had sacrificed so much for this moment, endless nights scrubbing floors, dusting shelves, and finding a rhythm in her life as a cleaner. Hard work was her anthem, and today, in the face of everything they had overcome, it meant everything. But then, like a clap of thunder on an otherwise sunny day, trouble struck. A misunderstanding flared between Emily's fiancé's affluent family and Samantha's humble background. It started with hushed whispers, then escalated to shouted insults. Soon, Emily found herself uninvited, cast aside like a forgotten detail in the grand scheme of floral arrangements and fancy dresses. The laughter abruptly died, leaving a heavy silence punctuated only by gasps shared among family and friends. An uproar swept through the community. Neighbors who had always lent a helping hand now found themselves caught in a web of class prejudice. As the news spread, Samantha felt her heart sink. How could someone deny her daughter the love she deserved? Anger coursed through her veins, a realization igniting a fire deep within. She wouldn't let Emily be silenced. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With her neighbors rallying beside her, Samantha transformed the disappointment of the day into a vibrant celebration in her backyard. She adorned the space with twinkling lights and wildflowers, crafting a sanctuary of acceptance and love. Laughter replaced the bitter tension, filling the air as childhood friends gathered around, swapping stories and reminiscing. Everyone united, casting away the constraints of social standing. Amid the festivities, a shadow loomed. The moment approached where Samantha would confront Emily's fiancé's family. Alone on the makeshift stage, she found herself under a spotlight of anxious gazes. Her chest tightened as uncertainty gripped her heart. This was a defining moment. Could she speak out against the prejudice that had erupted? Or would she let the rifts deepen amid the warmth of the gathering? The thoughts collided within her. The community, Emily's love for her fiancé, and the injustice at hand. She could feel the hope flicker amid the tension, but would it be enough to heal the divides that threatened to tear them apart? Would compassion and understanding bend the once stiff barriers of class? Samantha's heart raced as she gathered the strength that only a mother's love could conjure. Would she take the risk to speak the truth everyone needed to hear? Samantha stood tall, her heart pounding wildly in her chest, each beat a reminder of the stakes. The colorful lights flickered gently above her, illuminating the faces of those who had gathered. She took a deep breath, drawing strength from the vibrant atmosphere. "Good evening, everyone," she began, her voice slightly trembling but steady. The chatter quieted, heads turning to focus on her. "I stand here today not just as Emily's mother, but as a proud member of this community." She paused, scanning the faces of her friends and neighbors, and felt warmth swell within her as their supportive smiles reached her. "Today was supposed to be a day of joy and love," she continued. "But instead, we witnessed a moment that tried to separate us based on where we come from." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. She could feel tension still lurking, but she pressed on. "Emily deserves the right to love and be loved, regardless of how much money is in someone's wallet." Her words hung heavy in the air. The crowd began to nod, a united front forming in their collective understanding. Why should our worth be measured by our bank accounts? We all know love transcends that. A few voices joined in, supportive shouts that echoed her sentiment. Then, the sharp sound of heels clicking echoed as Emily's fiancé's mother stepped forward. Her elegantly styled hair and designer outfit seemed to exude an air of superiority. "How dare you speak so boldly? This is not how things are done," she spat, her voice laced with disdain. Samantha's heart sank slightly, the moment precarious as a tightrope walk. "Respectfully, ma'am, it's time to change how things are done," Samantha pressed, her passion igniting the courage buried within her. "We cannot allow our children to inherit these barriers. They deserve better." The crowd erupted in applause, voices rising in unity. This was more than just for Emily. It was for everyone who faced prejudice, for anyone who felt they were less than someone else. Samantha felt consumed by an overwhelming joy and hope, a swaying wave of support rolling through her, washing away her fears. "That's right, Samantha," called out an elderly neighbor. "We're all in this together." More voices joined in, creating a harmony of agreement that echoed through the garden, binding hearts anew. Samantha smiled as she caught Emily's eye, shimmering with tears of gratitude and admiration. This moment mattered. "Together, let us celebrate love and acceptance," she shouted, raising her arms, the backyard bursting into cheers. But just as victory felt within reach, the tension shifted again. A car pulled into the driveway, unfamiliar and sleek against the rustic charm of the gathering. The crowd fell silent, all eyes drawn towards the newcomer. Expectations hung thick in the air, a single question pulsing through the crowd. Who was this arrival, and what did they want? Samantha's stomach dropped. Fear threaded through her heart. What if this unexpected visitor sought to dismantle what they had just begun to build? The atmosphere shifted from joyous to anxious in seconds. She took a hesitant step forward, ready to confront whatever challenge lay ahead. Was the fight for Emily's love truly over, or was this just the beginning? The car door swung open, and a figure stepped out, dressed smartly in a tailored suit. The crowd went still, like a deer caught in headlights. Samantha felt a shiver run down her spine. This was no ordinary guest. As the man looked around, the familiar features struck her like a bolt of lightning. It was Mr. Whitmore, Emily's fiancé's father. Whispers swept through the crowd, questions hanging in the air like heavy clouds. What was he doing here? Why hadn't anyone known he was coming? A low murmur started, the kind that carries rumors and guilt, inching its way through the group like a creeping shadow. Mr. Whitmore approached, capturing attention effortlessly with the air of authority that surrounded him. "I need to speak," he announced, voice calm but commanding. "There has been a misunderstanding." Samantha knitted her brow, instinctively stepping forward. "What kind of misunderstanding?" she demanded, her heart racing with a mix of dread and anticipation. The atmosphere was charged, ready to explode, and she could feel her pulse quickening that he glanced at Samantha, then turned to the crowd, his eyes softening. "I wish to clarify my stance on Emily's love and her choice." A collective swell of confusion washed over the gathering. "I never wanted to invalidate her feelings," he continued, his voice resonating with a gentler tone. "My wife and I, well, we've held on to traditions that have no place in our family anymore." The murmurs faded as people exchanged puzzled looks. "I want my son to be happy. If Emily makes him happy, then I stand here to support that." His words seemed to douse the rising tide of tension, but they also ignited a flicker of skepticism. Samantha's heart was torn. Could he truly be sincere? She saw some of her neighbors beginning to nod, but an unease lingered. "What about your wife?" she pressed, her voice steadier than before. "She needs time," Mr. Whitmore sighed, his face tight with the burden of family expectations. "We both do. But I can't be the one to hold back true love." The crowd seemed to exhale collectively, a breath of relief mingling with confusion. Emily stood beside Samantha, eyes wide, emotions swirling as she soaked in her father-in-law-to-be's declarations. "Let us be role models," Mr. Whitmore implored, sweeping his gaze from one familiar face to another. "Let this gathering be proof that love can conquer profit and prejudice. Can we not rise above?" As he spoke, a hopeful energy began to replace the uncertainty that had settled moments ago. The once flickering lights above felt brighter, reflecting the shift in emotion throughout the backyard. "For the sake of love," Samantha began, But her words were interrupted by the distant sound of another car pulling up. Anxiety flickered back into the air. Who else could be coming? Samantha's heart raced again, worrying what revelation awaited them next. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to dive into unknown waters with untold depths. With the crowd riveted, Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that this was a turning point. Would the next arrival tear open wounds, or heal them? Would it ignite newfound hope, or reignite the flames of confusion? As the engine shut off and a figure stepped out, all eyes turned to the driveway once more, uncertain what truths or conflicts would soon unfold. Would this crowd finally find peace, or was the real battle still waiting? The engine roared to life, and then fell silent. The figure stepping out of the car was cloaked in shadow, their features obscured. As they moved into the light, Samantha's breath caught in her throat. It was Maria, the family's housekeeper. With her worn, sun-kissed skin and warm smile, Maria was a beloved presence among them, yet her appearance was a harbinger of tension tonight. "Maria?" Samantha whispered, glancing around at the curious crowd. The whispers that had calmed upon Mr. Whitmore's arrival resurfaced, echoing anxieties of what this visit would mean. The crowds parted, allowing Maria passage into the spotlight. Maria's presence brought forth a strange mix of familiarity and fear. She had worked for Emily's family for years, watched her grow, and had always been a loving part of the household. However, tonight felt different altogether. "I need to speak," Maria said, her voice steady despite the undeniable shiver of fear that rippled through her. As she looked at Mrs. Whitmore standing nearby, her eyes glimmered with unspent emotion. "I know things have been said, and I have been silent for a long time." With each word, she seemed to pull the crowd closer, creating an unbreakable bond of curiosity among friends and family alike. "Maria, please, are you okay?" Emily stepped forward, caught between concern and the soft warmth of memory that surrounded the woman who had practically raised her. The crowd fell silent, wrapped by the tension that hung between them. "I am well. I just want to clarify my place in all of this," Maria said, her gaze unwavering. "I have loved this family like my own. Yet tonight, I can no longer stay silent." She clenched her fists, summoning all her courage. "There was a reason why I always encouraged Emily to follow her heart, and a reason why I couldn't confront Mr. Whitmore sooner." Gasps rippled through the guests. What could she mean? Maria paused, looking each person in the eye as she collected her thoughts. "I have seen the pain that can come from loyalty misplaced. When Emily first told me about her love, I recognized something beautiful in it. I knew that relationships built on authenticity have a magic that can't be manufactured or dictated by others." The crowd leaned in, some nodding slowly in agreement, while others exchanged looks of uncertainty. "And yet," she continued, her voice rising slightly, "I didn't speak up because I feared I was not worthy enough, that my words would hold no weight among the expectations of your families." At those words, Emily's face softened, tears beginning to form in her eyes. "But I realized, it isn't the blood that creates a family, it's the love we foster." And when I heard Mr. Whitmore speak, I felt a surge of hope. It reminded me of the very spirit of love I witnessed between your two hearts. Samantha's emotions swelled within her. Maria's bravery ignited something in the crowd, reshaping the atmosphere. Yet, it also laid bare the uncertainty that clung to the evening like heavy fog as she finished. A deafening silence enveloped them, replaced only by the distant chirping of crickets. Every heart beat in unison, processing the revelation that had just unfolded, but before anyone could react, the tension split with a sudden ringing sound. A phone buzzed on the table, capturing everyone's attention. Glancing at her own phone, Samantha saw it was a message from Emily. "The truth is more complicated than we thought. Can we handle what is coming next?" Curiosity gripped her. What revelation awaited them? As everyone turned to look at the now silent driveway and the deepening night, anticipation mixed with apprehension. Would it nudge them forward into unity, or splinter their hard-fought hopes once more? Maria's words hung in the air like suspended smoke, and the whispers of the crowd morphed into a singular hush. Emily noticed the way her mother's gaze intensified, searching Maria's face for clarity, for something she could grasp onto. Mr. Whitmore stood frozen, his composed demeanor cracking at the edges. The revelation was poised, waiting to tumble like fragile glass. "Maria, please," Emily finally managed, her voice trembling with the weight of the moment. "What are you trying to say? What don't we know?" Maria glanced down, collecting herself, the silence around them heavy like a tapestry of unspoken secrets. She drew a shaky breath and met Emily's eyes. "It's not just your love I fear for. There are truths that need to be brought to light. Things I've held back all these years." "What do you mean?" Samantha's voice cut through the air, her heart pounding with urgency. "5 years ago, I received a letter," Maria began, her voice steadying as confidence surged within her. "It was from your grandmother. She wrote about the love she witnessed between your parents. But there was more. She expressed her concerns about an old family feud that connected to this village. It was buried deep beneath the surface, but it dictates our relationships even today." "What feud?" asked one of the guests, catching the tension. Maria nodded, urging the crowd forward through her revelation. "It involves misunderstanding and regret. The Whitmores and the Salazars, their rivalry stems from a forbidden love, much like what I see here between you two." She gestured to Emily and Samantha, the side glances and the whispered conversations coiling around them like threads in a tapestry. Samantha caught Emily's hand tight, her fingers weaving through hers for comfort. "What did your grandmother say, Maria?" Maria took a moment, the weight of the words pressing on her chest. She spoke of loss of love that was abandoned due to expectations and family ties. "She urged me to be courageous, to protect what is true." Mr. Whitmore shifted, his logo on the cuff of his shirt glimmering under the lights, a stark reminder of duty and tradition. "That was years ago. These matters shouldn't affect us now," he interrupted, but his voice lacked conviction, faltering under Maria's determined gaze. "This is not just history," Maria pressed, urgency coloring her words. "It's about healing. It's about breaking the cycle of fear. You, Emily, and you, Samantha, stand on the edge of a path. What do you choose?" The crowd buzzed. Gasps and murmurs rippled back and forth as uncertainty fused into the atmosphere. Emily's eyes shimmered, and guilt twisted within her. Sometimes the hardest truth to face is the one that reshapes our identities. What if love, not blood, should dictate our choices? Do we dare to defy tradition for something that feels so right? Maria expanded, her voice growing steadier. Samantha blinked back tears, overwhelmed. "Do you mean what we've done, what we feel could change everything?" "Yes," Maria exclaimed, her energy igniting hope. "But it only matters if you're willing to fight for it. Otherwise, the hurt will repeat itself, and what matters most will be lost." Emily turned to Samantha, their eyes glistening with shared determination and fear. What was the cost of their love? What was the risk of facing their families? Just when Samantha thought clarity was within reach, her phone buzzed again, drawing her back into the depth of uncertainty. The without warning vibrations sent a shiver down her spine. A message from her estranged brother read, "I'm coming home. You need to know the truth before it's too late." The ache of foreboding settled in her stomach. What did that mean? Would it breach the fragile peace they had just begun crafting? Together, their hearts fluttered with anxiety and hope, realizing that everything was about to change. Would this revelation usher in a new chapter for them all? Or would it unravel all they had come to rebuild? The tension in the room thickened as the crowd shifted uneasily, awaiting a response. Emily's heart raced while Samantha's grip tightened painfully against her palm, both bracing for what might come next. The air buzzed with unasked questions, and that single message loomed large in Samantha's mind, echoing like a warning bell. "Emily, this is not just about us, it's about our families," Samantha whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Fear flared in her chest, and she swallowed hard, imagining how her brother's arrival might shatter the fragile lines they had begun to draw toward hope. Maria's presence, however, steadied them. Every family has secrets, but it's how we deal with them that defines us. "Your love is worth that fight, worth uncovering the truth," she assured them. Her voice was low and melodic, yet the strength behind it sent threads of courage through the crowd. "Fight for it," echoed Mr. Whitmore, his voice suddenly louder as though awakening from a slumber. "We can put this behind us, we can move past the mistakes," he added, though a flicker of uncertainty betrayed the confidence in his tone. Eyes narrowed upon him. The crowd's murmur began to rise, signifying a shift. Perspectives were changing. A stranger in the corner stepped forward, a wrinkle-lined face softening with age. "I remember the stories, the history," he said, his voice rich and textured. "They're as much a part of us as the love we feel today. We can't deny what we come from, but we can choose how it defines us." Sessions of energy rippled through the spectators, breaths catching as if they had all finally realized the weight of their collective past. Emily's heart sank at the impassioned words of the elder. The history felt like a bind around her chest, squeezing tighter with every second that passed. But then she felt Samantha's heartbeat matching hers, fiercely pounding, sinking in defiance. "Maybe we don't need to rewrite history, but we do need to reclaim our narrative," Emily said, surprising herself with the force of her words. She turned to Maria, hope sparking in her chest. "What if we talk? If we face it together?" "No," Samantha interrupted, panicked. "What if it does break us apart? What if your dad can't accept us?" All eyes shifted from Emily to Samantha, and an uneasy silence settled over them, a mixture of trepidation and yearning weaving through the air. Maria stepped toward them, her hand resting gently on both of their shoulders. "The love you share is your shield. There is strength in vulnerability. Look at the two of you, holding onto this love so tightly. Don't let fear crack that bond." Emily's gaze met Samantha's. They were both trembling, strung tight with uncertainty and heavy weight. But within the uncertainty came strength. "Together, we face it," Emily said decisively, her voice shaking with raw determination. "No more secrets between us." The crowd seemed to collectively breathe out, a wave of support wrapped around the couple. Then, just as relief started sweeping through like a bomb, Samantha's phone vibrated again, swiftly breaking the moment. Her pulse quickened. This time, it wasn't just a text, it was a video call. "Not now," she murmured, dread coursing through her veins. The tension snapped back to high alert. Would she answer it? Would her brother's face be the catalyst for conflict, or a chance for reconciliation? "Should I?" She hesitated, glancing at the crowd, at Emily, searching for support. "Whatever happens, we're with you," Emily reassured her, her heart racing. But as Samantha's finger hovered over the screen, they all felt it, the precarious balance of hope and anxiety hanging in the air like a pendulum. Could this lead to the unity they craved, or would this be the abrupt end to everything they were beginning to understand? "Will you answer it?" Maria asked softly, urging them forward. They all waited, breath held. Would they find closure, or would this moment fracture everything anew? Samantha's finger trembled as it hovered over the screen. The seconds felt like an eternity, each beat of her heart echoing the mounting anxiety in the room. The faces of the crowd blurred into a backdrop, their hopes and fears resting on her decision. Finally, she inhaled deeply, steadied herself, and tapped the screen. The moment the call connected, the familiar, animated face of her brother, Jake, flickered into view. His features, usually radiating kindness, were overshadowed by a flicker of concern that made her stomach tighten. "Samantha?" he asked, glancing around the room, his gaze landing on Emily for the briefest of moments before settling back on her. "Jake," she managed, her throat dry. "I didn't expect you to call. What is going on? Mom said you're with Emily." His voice, familiar yet edged with a hint of disappointment, sliced through the air. Behind him, the dimly lit room suggested the world they had left behind, one of family dinners and shared laughs. Samantha glanced sideways at Emily. The solidarity in her partner's eyes reminded her that this was their moment. This was their truth. She cleared her throat, pushing through the wave of emotions. "We need to talk, Jake. About everything. About us. Us." His confusion was evident, and the crowd collectively drew a breath. They hung on every word, a living testament to the stakes. "Yes, us. Me and Emily." Samantha's heart raced, each word feeling heavier than the last. She could sense the tension emanating from both sides of the call. "We love each other, and I want you to understand that." Jake's expression shifted, concern morphing into disbelief. "You can't be serious, Sam. You know how Dad feels about what?" She interrupted, feeling a surge of strength. "About two people being in love? We can't keep pretending this isn't happening. We can't deny who we are. It's not just about us. It involves all of you too. It's about being true to ourselves." Her voice resonated with authenticity. "People will talk. People have talked. Jake responded, his voice tinged with anger. But there was a flicker of something else. Hope? Fear? It was hard to tell. Emily squeezed Samantha's hand, grounding her in this dizzying moment. It was indeed true, the whispers, the judgment, the history that clawed at their feet like a mischievous child. But they had come too far to turn back now. Let them talk. Emily's voice cut in gently, yet firmly. You and your family deserve peace. We all do. The real challenge is about learning to live with love, despite the noise of judgment. Samantha dared to look at her brother again, meeting his gaze with unwavering determination. Jake, this is our life. I'm not asking for permission, I just want you to be part of it. Accept us as we are, or we'll navigate this without you. Silence fell in the room, tension thick as syrup. The collective breath of the crowd was palpable, hopes intertwining with despair. Jake's eyes widened, his mouth slightly agape as he absorbed her words. I need time, he started, but the softness in his tone contradicted the earlier urgency. Take all the time you need, Samantha replied, a mix of relief and fear coiling in her chest. Just know that we're not going anywhere. Emily's anxiety began to ebb as they watched the shift unfold, waiting for Jake to find his footing. The ground seemed to tremor beneath them, the love they fought so hard for growing roots against the tide of history. But just as something finally seemed to settle, an unexpected voice chimed through the call, the unmistakably sharp tone of their father, audible even from a distance. Who's on that call, Jake? Why can't I see the screen? The color drained from Samantha's face as dread settled in her stomach. This was the moment of truth she had hoped to avoid. How far could they, should they, push back as tensions rose not just from within, but from family obligations that could fracture everything? Jake, she whispered, fear wrapping around her heart again. How would her brother respond? How could they stand against the weight of a father's legacy? The uncertainty threatened to pull them back into the shadows as Jake hesitated, his jaw tightening as he faced the storm brewing behind him. Would it all come crumbling down? Jake's eyes darted from the screen to the doorway behind him, where their father's looming figure was partially visible. The tension in the room thickened. It felt like a rubber band stretched to its limit, ready to snap. As Sam's heart raced, she searched Jake's expression for any sign of where he stood. Jake, she said, urgency coloring her tone, please just tell him. Tell him we're on the call together. This is important. It's about me and Emily, about us. He took a deep breath, his face a mix of determination and dread. Dad, it's complicated. Samantha's here with Emily, and complicated? Their father's voice bellowed through the phone. You mean to say we have surprises, Jake? What else aren't you telling me? Emily tightened her grip on Samantha's hand, her body tense beside her. The crowd around them was frozen in anticipation, many holding their breath, hoping for a break in this storm. Dad, stop! Jake exclaimed, cutting through his father's bluster. This is my sister. This is her life we're talking about. If you care, of course I care. The response came, dripping with ire. Don't you dare put this on me. I raised you both to have values, to stand for what's right. Samantha felt the world tilt on its axis. Every word her father spoke sent ripples of fear through her. What's right? She challenged, her heart hammering in her chest. Is it right to ignore someone you love? Is it right to deny who they are? Your father is simply trying to protect the family. Jake tried to interject, his voice softer now, wavering. But Samantha could see the conflict in his eyes. Protect us from what? Love? Emily's voice, steady but filled with emotion, was like a stepping stone back to solid ground. This isn't a shameful secret, Mr. Thompson. This is who we are. If you can't accept that, then maybe the real danger lies in how family love can be suffocated by fear and tradition. The silence that followed was deafening. Jake shifted uncomfortably, caught between two worlds, his loyalty to his parents and his love for his sister. He suddenly looked smaller, more vulnerable. I just want what's best for you, Sam, he said, his voice now soft and weary. I don't want our family torn apart. And what about us? Samantha's voice cracked, but she pushed forward. What about my happiness? I can't keep drifting between a family that doesn't accept me and a love that makes me whole. Suddenly, their father's voice cut through again like thunder. Jake, get off that call right now. You're being deceived. I won't allow this. The only deception is trying to force Samantha to live a lie. Jake shouted, his resolve hardening. Dad, You may be able to control your world, but you can't control mine. Samantha deserves to be happy, and I want to be there for her. Samantha felt a flicker of hope igniting between them, her brother standing up against the tide. A small smile broke across her face. Maybe this was the turning point. But just as it seemed like they might reach common ground, footsteps echoed behind Jake. A figure stepped into view, cloaked in shadows, a silhouette that jerked Samantha's heart right back into fear. Their mother. What is all this shouting about? She demanded, worry lacing her voice. Panic raced through the air, each heartbeat thunderous. This was it, the floodgates were opening, and the truth would be laid bare. Would they rise together, or would this bond shatter under the weight of expectations? Mom. Wait, Jake started, but the words hung on the edge of a cliff, ready to plunge into the unknown. Would they find a way to navigate this treacherous path, or would the backlash of family tradition prove too great to overcome? As their world teetered on the brink, Samantha could only hope they would rise with love rather than fall into shadow. But deep down, another question loomed larger. What if the truth was more dangerous than any of them had imagined? Mom, it's not what you think. Jake finally managed to say, his voice a whisper against the tidal wave of tension. Samantha's heart raced, caught in the chaos of her brother's fear and her mother's impending disbelief. Their mother stepped closer, the doorway behind her now fully illuminated, making her look almost ethereal. What do you mean? She asked, the worry in her voice thickening as she surveyed her son's anxious demeanor and the silent, resolute figure of Emily beside Samantha. What's going on here? Samantha felt the walls closing in, the air turning thick and heavy. She looked to Emily, desperate for a sign of what to do. Emily's eyes were steady, filled with warmth, the kind of strength that made Samantha feel anchored. Taking a deep breath, Samantha finally found her voice. Mom, please listen. This isn't a secret. It's who I am, and it's who we are together. Each word felt like a small act of bravery, coming to terms with the truth that had shaped her. Their mother's expression shifted, confusion flickering across her features. What do you mean together? Sam, explain. Mom, Jake interjected, urgency gripping him again. Samantha and Emily are in love. They've been hiding it, but it's real. It's not a mistake, it's their truth. The room fell silent, the weight of the revelation hanging between them like a dark cloud, casting shadows over the once bright space. Samantha could see her mother's brow furrowing, struggling to process the information that had just shattered the normality they operated under for so long. And you're okay with this? Their mother asked Jake, her voice half incredulous, half desperate. This change. I want Sam to be happy. Jake replied fiercely, his frustration surfacing again as he waved his arms dismissively. Why can't you see that? She's not a problem to fix. She's my sister. You should want her to be happy too. Their mother's face twisted, tears glimmering as they threatened to spill over. But this is different. What people will think, Mom. Samantha's voice rang out, sharp and clear. What do you care about what people think? Shouldn't family mean more than that? This is about love, not appearances. Emily's hand squeezed Samantha's tightly, a surge of strength anchoring them together. But as she gazed at their mother, something shifted. The hardness softened into uncertainty. I don't want to lose you, their mother confessed, her voice cracking. You are my baby girl. I just don't understand. I thought I knew who you were. Samantha's heart twisted painfully in her chest. And that's just it, Mom, she said, her own voice shaking now. It's who I am. If you can't accept this part of me, then how can I ever be truly happy? How can I be your daughter? The air thickened again, everyone holding their breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop as they stood on this precipice. Would their mother step back into fear, or could she find a way to embrace them both? Love isn't meant to be hidden, Jake said softly, cutting through the tension. It's meant to be shared. At the edge of acceptance, their mother inhaled deeply, sensing perhaps the truth behind her children's souls, raw and unedited. Yet as the thunder of emotions swirled around them, time felt suspended, a moment layered with fragile hope and unresolved questions. Before Samantha could voice another thought, a loud knock echoed from the front door. It startled them all, breaking the emotional spell. Anxiety filled the space as Samantha stole a glance at Jake and Emily, who both looked equally concerned. What now? Jake muttered, his voice barely a whisper, dread flooding the air. Samantha stepped forward instinctively, a sense of urgency pushing her. But in that moment, she couldn't shake the sinking feeling that whatever awaited them at the door might change everything again. Her heart raced anew, but the question lingered, could they handle more truth, or would it all fall apart? Samantha hesitated, fingers trembling on the doorknob. The crowd behind her stood bathed in anticipation, a wave of curious eyes pressing against her back. She didn't want to face another storm. She wanted acceptance, resolution. But as that knock reverberated through her chest, she knew she had to move, not just for her, but for everyone gathered. With a deep breath, she opened the door, revealing a figure cloaked in shadows. The night air was thick with tension, and as street lights spilled warmth onto the visitor, an icy realization washed over Samantha. It was her brother, Jake, but not the hopeful, balanced version she had just spoken with over the call. The look on his face was one of fury. "Mom," he shouted, voice trembling. "We need to talk. Now." Samantha's heart sank, confusion swirling as fresh whispers ignited in the gathering. Her mother's face blanched, eyes darting between Jake and the door. "What do you mean? What's wrong?" she asked tightly. "They're out of control. This is more than a love story, it's everything." "You deserve to know the truth," Jake pressed, voice rising with urgency. The air crackled with unspoken emotions as everyone transferred their attention to Jake, their support for Samantha wavering in the face of this unexpected tempest. "Truth?" their mother repeated with an edge, stepping closer. The flood of vulnerability and unease layered their every move, reminiscent of a ticking clock. "Yes, Mom. The family feud, it's not just history. It's blood. It's loyalty. There are things you don't know, and you can't shield it anymore." Jake's voice broke, hitting with devastating force. The weight of family legacy hung heavily around them like an unwelcome shroud. "What are you talking about?" Samantha's voice quaked, confusion mingling with dread. Her brother's anger felt both unfamiliar and familiar, igniting a sense of peril she couldn't shake. "In this village, everything is connected by hidden ties," Jake continued, tension rising like a tidal wave. "Mom, you married into a war." "Enough," their mother shouted, summoning strength as if to reclaim her authority. But in the quivering hush, Samantha sensed fear replacing certainty, a tremor in her mother's resolve. "Mom, I overheard Dad talking to someone," Jake revealed, charging forward. "He's been using family connections to spread a hate campaign against those who don't fit our mold. It's been happening ever since I can remember. He always made it sound so noble, so protective, but it's just hate." The room echoed with a collective gasp, eyes fluttering around like startled birds. Samantha's stomach twisted, disbelief battled against long-held family ideals, threatening to unravel everything she thought she understood. "We can't keep living in denial," Jake continued. "You cannot allow traditions to dictate who our family is. The pain they've caused, we have to confront it together." Tears flooded their mother's eyes, her face a portrait of anguish. "What are you saying? How could your father do this?" "I can't believe." Samantha's heart raced with a mix of anger and understanding. "He doesn't want us to be happy, Mom. He cares more about appearances than us. We deserve to thrive and love." The night was still, heavy with borrowed anguish and hope. Samantha's plea cut through the tension like a blade. "We no longer need to hide, and we won't let anyone take our love from us, or force us into boxes. This is a time for change, for acceptance." With certainty swirling around her, she stepped closer to her brother, rallying the love she fought for. Facing her mother, she spoke again, determined. "This is your chance. We can tear down the walls. Together, we can mend this family through love." Tears escaped her mother's eyes, rolling down her cheeks. The atmosphere thickened, underscored by the weight of all they had endured. The fragility of family ties trembled as Samantha pushed onward. "And if it means confronting our past, then that's what we must do. I will fight for Emily until I breathe my last." A wave of hope washed over the crowd as renewed whispers started to ripple through those gathered. The unity formed amid resistance blossomed into something palpable, a garden of acceptance firmly rooted in love. Finally breaking her silence, their mother took a deep breath, quivering ever so slightly. "I have been afraid," she whispered, each word a reluctant admission. Afraid for you, for this family, of what they will say. But no more. If you love each other, I will support you. All of you. A deafening silence enveloped them, shock and disbelief painted on the faces that only moments ago bore judgment. The floodgates opened, bursts of applause and tearful embraces flowing from the crowd. Emily stepped forward, her heart soaring at the shift. Thank you. Your support means everything. It felt like the dawn breaking. Acceptance was a light reaching the darkest corners of discouragement. With their hearts united, they stood tall, poised to face the fire. This moment was a testament of hope, a promise of a new future as they embraced, experimenting with the fragile threads of truth woven together. A bright horizon awaited beyond the night. Love had triumphed, staving off the shadows of division. With a deep understanding, they knew everything was about to change. The journey ahead would be uncertain, but together, they would face it head-on. And just then, as the echoes of acceptance filled the air, Samantha's phone buzzed again, this time without dread. It was a reminder of the strength she had discovered, the urgency of love against all odds. So now, here's where you come in, dear friends. You need to subscribe now to the channel to catch more stories of love, transformation, and triumph over adversity. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us keep the magic going. We want to hear from you. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can spread love and inspire one another. Join us on this journey. Let love lead the way.